Hi guys. So sometimes the people who have the highest consciousness hold the most amount of light are able to hold a huge amount of truth. And it's not a comparison game, right? Between a lot of truth and not a lot of truth, but a lot of times those people who would hold a lot of truth, like who would speak their truth, in history got called mentally ill or crazy at that point, right? So Jesus was constantly speaking his truth and he wasn't believed in. Women called witches for knowing a lot about nature and herbs. And people were called crazy because they weren't understood or they weren't heard and they weren't seen. And that must feel like a huge burden when you hold a lot of consciousness and you hold a lot of light and you hold a lot of truth, because like you're not crazy and you're not mentally sick, because you keep track of your mental health with help or with your own methods, right? And this hasn't changed, but people nowadays who hold a lot of truth or who would see a lot more than others are like light workers, empaths, highly sensitive people who are just much more aware of what's going on. So you could be a child who is aware of war and how people get murdered, and it hurts you so much because these people are innocent, or you see how animals get killed and it hurts you so much because you see how innocent these creatures are and still get attacked or killed or murdered. And then life feels really heavy and you're being called mentally sick or depressed. Maybe you're just realistic, or maybe you're just very aware of a lot of things around you. And this still exists until today. And in a lot of countries, people still get murdered, and not just antidepressants, which is not funny. And when we hold a lot of truth, a lot of times we are alone with that, or we feel separate from others because we would speak something and they don't hear us, or we've never felt seen in our family, or we've never felt heard as a child in our needs if we were highly sensitive or had different kind of talents that wouldn't fit in this kind of world. And a lot of times it's a really lonely path, not because, for example, we suffer because we see so much pain, but because we suffer, it's much worse to suffer not being believed in or not being seen in, or like people diagnose you wrong and you are desperate to meet someone who sees your pain and to see that you're not making it up, or it's it's not from your psyche. And life can feel super lonely and depressing, and like that's a lot of times when we are capable of holding high amounts of truth or light. And we, for example, don't make a difference between the housekeeping person and the business owner person, and we overcame separation, and we overcame all these things we believe in that we think will make us better as a person, like material things and money and status and fame and popularity and being loved was seen by many. And we overcame that, and we understand that we are all equal, and that's why everyone, like, that's why the doctor isn't better than the nurse, and the business owner isn't better than the housekeeping person. And that's why we also don't expect them to not lie, for example, or to, we understand that somebody with a lot of status, like a politician, can hold lots of corruptive energy because they are scared. They want to hold on to their money and their status and their popularity or fame and their power, right? And that's exactly why a lot of times you can find corruption in all kinds of fields, right? And when you see that as a person, a lot of people don't believe you because they still put people on a pedestal, thinking they are better, thinking they aren't able to lie, or aren't able to not say the truth, or aren't able to not be perfect or make mistakes or whatever. And that can feel really lonely sometimes.